Hello, my name is Latanya Thomas. I'm a teacher at Hope County. I work for Hope County Schools. I am a second grade teacher. This is my second year teaching. I teach all subjects because I am a second grade teacher, but I am on the math team. So I plan math for our lesson plannings throughout the year. I've been teaching for 2 years now, and this is my second year planning math. So I've like to say I have some experience in planning math and understanding the standards and the lessons that the students will need to help them to be effective. The standard focus area for second grade is operations and algebraic thinking, numbers and operations, measurement and data and geometry. Operation and algebra thinking is 2081. We're going to represent 1 through 4 actually represent and solve addition and subtraction word problems within 100 with unknown and known. Numbers and operations base 10, 2 MBT. You have those standards, understanding place values and what each number represent, hundreds, tens, and ones. You have your skip count, that's the 2 MBT 2. Skip count by fives. 2 MBT reading and 2 MBT 3 reading and writing numbers within 1,000 using number names and expanded form. Measurement and data, 2 MD, so we're moving into our MD standards. Measuring length using the yardstick, meter stick, rulers, tape. 2 MD3, we're going to estimate length using inches, feet, centimeters. Telling time, 2 MD7, telling time on a digital analog clock. 2 MD8, word problem involving money using the dollar symbol, using dollar bills, quarters, dimes, nickels, and pennies. Geometry shape 2.G.1, we're going to recognize and draw shapes. 2.G.2, partition a rectangle into rows and columns. 2.G.3, partitions circles, rectangles into 2, 3, or 4 equal shares described as shares using whole or 2/2, 3/3, and 4/4, and recognize it and draw shapes, drawing triangles, quadrilateral, pentagon, hexagon, having to recognize and describe attributes of a rectangular prism. But standard 2.G.3 has been removed from 2010. It was a partition of rectangles into rows and columns of same shape, square sizes, and to count to find the total number of them. That has been removed from the standards since 2010. Okay, so we have our standards of mathematical or practical implications. First, we're going to make sense of the problem. It's 8 of those actually. First is make sense of the problem and preserve and solving them is when we will read the problem 3 times and get the students to get a better understanding of the problem and what the problem is asking the students or what this problem is about. 2, reason abstractively and quantitatively means to give the students a better understanding of the problem using models and manipulatives to help guide the students' understanding. 3, constructs viable arguments and critique the reasonings of others. This is your turn and talk method when students talk with a partner and they explain their reasoning. I agree or disagree with the reasoning. This would also give the students a chance to explain their understanding of the problem alone with helping their peers understand as well, or they can see the method of understanding the problem. 4, we're going to model the mathematics. Students will be able to have an example using the 100 chart to see how to skip count by fives, or having students to make their own 100 chart. 5 is use appropriate tools strategically. This is the manipulatives that the student will use to help solve the problem, such as a ruler, yardstick, base 10 blocks, or fake money. Students will be able to determine which tools to effectively use to solve the problem. 6, attend to precision will be to focus on the language and the vocabulary in math, such as centimeters or yard. If we are working on measurement or if we're working on time, it will be the students' understanding of AM or PM. And I kind of want to elaborate a little bit on that because those vocabulary words are very imperative when we're actually just teaching the standard, especially when we're learning a new standard. Those vocabulary words are very imperative due to, let's just say, money. Students need to know how much a quarter is worth, or its value, or how much a nickel is worth, or a penny is worth, or a dollar is worth, or $5 worth. the students need to know the value of those coins, as well as AM and PM. Tell them the time on the clock. The students need to know what AM means or PM mean. They need to know that. For an example, I will always ask my students, like if a question asks, Johnny started eating breakfast at 6:45 and he got finished eating breakfast at 7:10, you know, at the end, what time, or would that be AM or PM? Normally, when is the best time to eat breakfast? When is the time do you normally eat breakfast in the morning, or you normally eat breakfast in the evening or the afternoon? So I try to, tell my students, what are you normally doing after school? Would that be PM, or what are you normally doing in AM? So it just depending on the raw problem. I try to tell them to pay attention to what those problems are asking you, and you can be able to tell if it's AM or PM just based on those words sometimes that are in the problem. But number 7 says, look for and make use of structure. This is where you want the students who have to develop a deeper understanding of the problems. Ask them to look for like patterns. This will help them understand the problem. 8, look for and express regulative and repeated reasoning. Allow the students to identify strategies within the problems. Okay, so we have our domain progression. And the algebraic thinking, this would allow for students to be able to progress in word problems, such as with arrays and columns. With repeated addition, this would allow students to be able to use multiplication for 3rd grade. Multiplication is basically repeated addition. So when students are working in arrays or doing arrays and columns, again, that's repeated addition. And I feel like arrays and columns sets the foundation for multiplication. Okay, so numbers and operations, students will be able to progress into the place values with 1,000 using 3-digit numbers. Measurement and data allow students to be able to tell and use measurement in a real world setting, using appropriate tools to measure objects, telling time to the nearest 5 minutes. Starting at the 1 on the clock, I always tell my students, start at the 1, skip count by 5 all the way till you get to 12. So this is going to identify dollars and cents and their values of each, utilizing pictures and bar graph. Value each. We're going to be utilizing pictures and bar graphs, being able to recognize the difference of picture graphs and bar graphs. The geometry is progressing, is identifying shapes such as quadrilaterals, hexagon, pentagon, and etc. Understanding what is a half, what is a whole, third, and fourth. Partitioning those shapes and understanding that. Shared tools will be manipulatives that the students will need during math instruction, such as clocks, pay money, basing blocks, 100 charts, 1,000 charts, measuring tools such as rulers, yardsticks, meter sticks, measuring tape, my interactive smart board, student Chromebook, our Ready MathPath, or teacher assigned lessons that the teacher assigned to students. Center time when students work on individual assignments or in a small group setting, such as or when we have to do the teacher or the student have to meet the teacher, or again, those rotational settings that we do. To summarize and reflect, 2nd grade math builds a foundation for students to be able to progress when they enter into 3rd grade. It allows for students to think critically and to challenge their knowledge. Students will leave 2nd grade ready to apply those foundational skills that they have learned in 2nd grade and apply that foundational skill and build on what they've already know. Think of 3rd grade as phase 2, as to what they have learned. Have you seen a building being built? Think of it as this way. You see a foundation when you see a building. You have the foundation, right? And once that foundation is set, then the builder is able to build on that foundation. So basically, that's how I see it. In 2nd grade, they are into that phase to where we're building the foundation for those students to be able to progress from there. So once you have that foundation set, everything else will be able to build back, be able to build on that. Kind of like blocks, or like I said, a building. Have the foundation, everything else is set on that. Once that foundation is set, the student will have a general knowledge, and you just build on the foundation that they already know, or the foundation that they've learned from 2nd grade. This has been Ms. Thomas, and I hope you have some knowledge of what 2nd grade math will be with our students going forward. Thank you.